What's up guys, Akil here. I'm going to be bringing you a guide video today on exactly how I'm going to play this talent setup. This talent setup being Legacy of the Void, Mindbender, Sandline, Lingering Insanity. So whenever you do a DPS check or a test or on a dummy or whatever, with the way our Mind Seer works now, you need to make sure you get an isolated target to where that you're not going to be hitting other things. This one always does it for me. If you want to check your damage outside of the execute phase, which is what I want to do right now, we have a problem with Twist of Fate because this is eventually going to run out of health. So I'm actually going to click off of Twist of Fate. You use Twist of Fate in the talent setup, but for the purposes of this check, I'm turning it off, that way I don't get the proc. I won't be using Void Reward? Shadow Word Void. I won't be using that. I'm just taking a talent so that it doesn't show up. I'm even going to take it off the bar. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a full flask and food buff for this. Just to get an actual idea of what I'm going to be doing, short of heroism. So with this spec, it's pretty much just your standard into void form rotation, coming out of it, you know, getting back in as quick as you can. You're not trying to necessarily optimize your time in and out of the form, you just do a natural flow of how things play out. I guess a good opener would be to Mindbender is such a short cooldown, you just want to go ahead and use it as soon as it's up every time. Realistically, the only real trick you can do in this spec is to, once your drain gets heavy, you can drop Mindbender and Disperse to get some stacks back and make your Void Forms last a little bit longer. But other than that, sorry if you hear my dog, she's walking around. There's not really a whole lot to it. It's keep your dots rolling, get into Void Form, get out of Void Form. Another big thing is I won't be using Shadow Word Death. Since I'm not doing execute stuff. Yeah, we're just gonna go for it. You'll be able to see my DPS over here. Whenever you do a DPS check, it's good to get a realistic number, so you need to do a certain amount of damage. Don't go for your maximum DPS. You need to do a certain amount of damage before you see where your DPS actually tapers off. You need to cycle your cooldowns a few times. Realistically, I do about 100 million damage on average in a raid, or on a raid boss. That is a lot of damage. You can go for the 100 million if you want. I'll see where I normally do 50 million. 50 million is normally where I stop, but I think I'm actually going to go ahead and do 100 here since I have buffs and everything. Alright, so I'm going to open with Mind Blast, that way you get the Insanity and put that on cooldown first. I will drop Mindbender, and then I'll apply my dots, and then go right into Mind Flay spams. Just use Mind Blast off cooldown, got up the Void Torrent, and then Void Eruption, then I Void Torrented into Void Bolt, Mind Blast, 1 tick of Mind Flay, Void Bolt. This is just your standard rotation in the form. It's going to be Void Bolt, Mind Blast, 1 tick of Mind Flay, Void Bolt, full duration Mind Flay. I will not be using these Shadow Word Deaths because I don't want to generate extra insanity when I normally wouldn't be. I'm going to try and stick to execute phase. As you can see right now, I'm pulling 330, which isn't too bad. See if we can get it over 4. My Mindbender is about to be coming off cooldown, so it'll be popped right now. We just clipped off a Mind Flay and threw it in there. Oh, Void Torrent's up. We'll go ahead and pop that. See, that's the second really big, long, I'm going to reapply dots and then instantly Void Bolt to go ahead and get those stacks way up there now. The reason you can do that sometimes is because obviously your dots are going to fall off eventually unless you're getting in and out of void forms very quickly. it's good to kind of reset them basically, because now my vampiric touch is almost at 40. It is at 40 seconds, which is an absurd number. And now I don't have to worry about it for a while. Back into void form, we're at 41 million damage and only doing 350. Looks like Mindbender's up. We're getting really good damage out of our lingering insanity because our void forms have been all decently long. They've all been at least 35 to 40 stacks, I think. This one looks like it's gonna be a little shorter, maybe. Oh no, we're hanging on. We're only at 30 and we still got some pretty good, oh no, here we go, 35, about 35. Back into void form. Our Shadow Word Pain is down to about 5 seconds now. I'm gonna go ahead and let this one ride out, but next time I go into the void form, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh it again. We're at 63 million damage. I'm gonna go ahead and save this Mindbender for when the when everything else is up. Refresh dots, void eruption. Let's do a torrent into void bolt. Now I've saved this for about 20 seconds now. I'm going to maximize the time in void form with it. Now that I'm not reaching 100 insanity anymore, I'm going to go ahead and pop it. That way it can try and get me there. I'll get this next void bolt out. I'm going to disperse, and now my my Mindbender is ticking for me. You can watch my insanity continue. Oh, it's not generating. Oh, it already, my Mindbender already faded. My bad. I wasn't paying attention, and I left void form. Oh, it sucks. We're still floating on the 350 mark. Not too shabby. We're at 85 million damage now. If you guys don't know where to see that, it's right here. You have 88 million damage now, and I'm doing 350k a second. I got another torrent coming up here. We'll put torrent or bolt on cooldown and blast, and then we will put bolt on cooldown again, and then pop torrents. It's not mandatory that you do that every time, but it's actually really, really, really good if you do. Because then you can allow your Mind Blast and your Void Bolt to be cooling down while you are channeling your torrent. Oh no, my Shadow Word Pain fell off. I have not noticed that in a while. I don't know how long that's been off. That's really why I dropped down to about 5k DPS. Probably hasn't been up for a few seconds. Alright, so we hit the 100 million, we're at 105 million, and we were doing right at 350. We peaked at about 365, I believe, and I averaged as low as about 345. So we'll just say 350 in there. Now you're probably saying 350, that's not your usual damage, or that's not that much damage. You have to understand, I wasn't doing any executing. Shadow Priests are all about executing. Executing is our big thing because we were one of the few classes that gets this huge buff. A lot of people really, really, really underestimate the power of Twist of Fate. 20% damage is massive. It is actually what made Surrender so very strong. If you think about it, Surrender doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't give you an increase in damage. It doesn't give you any type of real buff. It just makes you generate more insanity. So the real damage comes from your Void form and your Twist of Fate proc. You used to get a 40% damage buff. 50. You used to get 50% damage buff. So you got 30 from Void form and then 20 from Twist of Fate. That was big. So now, like missing half of that, it literally halves your damage, or halves your buff, basically, of Surrender. So now we're going to do the same thing. Remember 350. Let's get this back into execute range. Okay, it's in execute range. We have Mindbender, we have Void Torrent, we have everything ready. So yeah, we're going to see what kind of damage we do now. Okay, so we did 350 over 100 million. We're going to do 100 million damage again, and this one is going to be in execute range. So on this first torrent, it's going to be big. We're going to have a really big number. I'm going to go ahead and let those cool down while I'm still generating a little bit of insanity. So we're going to go into Void Eruption here. We're going to do a torrent. I'm actually going to refresh dots now. That's not good, but I'm doing it, because now I don't have to worry about them for a really long time. If you notice I'm saving my Mindbender, that's because I'm going to do the disperse thing with it again. So I got to use Mind Blast and a Shadow Word Death on this one. We'll pop the Fiend, we'll pop the Death, we'll pop the Void Bolt, the Mind Blast, the Void Bolt. Oh, I dispersed out of Void Farm. I stink. That's okay. As you can see, we're doing 450 right now, even though I messed up the cooldowns there. I thought I was going to do I'll stay in the Void Form a little bit longer. That's okay. Mess ups happen. Let's try and get back on track here. I will be able to get this next Void Torrent out of this Void Form. Try and put everything on cooldown. Cool. Now let's go ahead and torrent while everything is cooling down. I'm at 478. I'll even pop a pot here in a few minutes when I'm at like the 80k damage range. Because realistically, you're going to be popping your pots in the execute range. We're getting there much quicker this time. Got to refresh my Shadow Word Pain now. Get my Mindbender out there. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this guy's practiced this a lot, whatever. This is only the second time I've really tried this spec on a dummy. I tested it out for a few minutes the day all the talents switched. But after that, I haven't really done a whole lot with it. Okay, this next Void Form is going to be pretty big, I think. So I'm going to refresh the dots, even though there's like a huge duration. That was a misplay. I should not have refreshed dots. I had 16 on Shadow Word Pain, and it was the longest one. Ooh, such a bad misplay there. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and pop a pot now. I'm going to pop Deadly Grace because I have a bunch of them, so I don't really mind wasting them. I'm going to fight this drain to the best of my ability. Alright, we're gonna get the Mindbender out. Shadow Word Death. We should pop right back into Void Form here. There we go. Still have 16 stacks of Lingering Insanity when going back in, so that's pretty cool. We're only at 87 million damage, but we're doing 450. We're doing 100k more. Think about that. One little buff gave you 100k damage. Technically, my trinkets in there did too. I'm popping a lot of stuff out of proper order, but we're just trying to get an idea of what the spec does. I'm not playing this perfectly at all. We're at 96 million damage, 97, 98, 99, and 100 million damage, doing 465, doing exactly 100k DPS more in execute phase. So realistically, what can you expect from this in a raid environment? Somewhere between 350 and 450 is what I am doing. You do have to add mechanics in there. That's going to take away from your DPS. You're not just going to get to stand there in DPS. But you do also have to take into account you will be getting heroism, and preferably at a good time for you. If you're getting it in the execute phase, boom, way more damage. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about what I was doing there. So obviously dots rolling the whole time, Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain. With the way that Void Bolt works now, you do need to really watch these because they fall off a lot easier than you think. As you can see in my little demonstration there, I think my Shadow Word Pain fell off 2 times without me noticing. That's why I have my add-on there to kind of show me when it's missing. I need to make it more apparent, I guess, since I missed out on it very bad. Mindbender. You're using Mindbender off cooldown. The only times that you want to save it is to pair it with a Void Form to try and get a little bit more out of that for your Lingering Insanity. You can also pair it with Dispersion if they're both up at the same time. Do not hold it for more than about 15 to 20 seconds. If you're doing that, then you're possibly not getting another Mindbender off cooldown. The whole reason I love running Mindbender is it's only a 1 minute cooldown, I believe. Yeah, it's a 1 minute cooldown, and most fights last 4 to 5 minutes. You're getting 4 to 5 of these out. That's huge. That's big insanity generation, all that good stuff. Pop that off cooldown. Same thing with torrents. You're not really saving them like you did for surrender. You don't have a certain time when you need to use them. You need to be using that off cooldown as soon as you can as well. So those are your only real 2 cooldowns, and they're both pretty much up every minute. So rolling dots, pop your cooldowns when they're ready. Go into void form whenever. With the old Void Lord, not Void Lord, with the old Legacy of the Void, it was ideal you went in at 85, because when you went in at 85, your next Mind Blast kind of jumped you to that 100, so you didn't waste that insanity. I believe the same thing could be said about the 65, because Void Bolt is ready instantly now. It used to take a second to cool down. Now you can Mind Blast Void Bolt right into it. That'll pop you up to, what, 15? I don't remember how much Void Bolt gives. That seems like something I should know right off the top of my head. 16 insanity, so 31 gives you 31 insanity off of the 65. Yeah, you're not wasting any insanity there. You're technically not at 100, but that's okay. You're probably not actually going to be sitting on exactly 65. It'll probably be between 65 and 70 when you pop it. Not a big deal there. So yeah. You can do your embraces when your healer calls for it. If your healer never calls for it, don't even worry about it, because it kind of sucks anyway. So yeah, this is a really, really simple rotation. This is good for everybody. It involves a lot of passives. The reason this is good is because Lingering Insanity, you don't have to actively like play around that. You just, you do your best in your void form. All right, cool. Sandline, it just buffs your damage. Cool, you don't have to play around that. The only thing you really have to play around is Mindbender. It takes a 3 minute cooldown and makes it a 1 minute. The alternative to that is Power Infusion, really, and that's adding a whole nother button. Like, I am keeping the same number of buttons, just pressing one more often. Other than that, it's just this. It's simple. It's simple, and that's why it's good. I'm doing almost 500k damage in execute range without a hero, and it's the simplest rotation ever. This is what everybody wants out of the Shadow Priest class. Excuse me, after having to play Surrender for so long. Such a highly complex and stressful, crazy hectic talent has been replaced with this option. Super simple. If you're a casual player, if you just like the idea of the Shadow Priest and you don't really care how much damage you do, this is where you want to be. So yeah, let me know what spec you want to see next, guys. Any comments, let me know, and I will talk to you on the next guide.